Hello and welcome back to Business and Brunch. This week I have a special guest with me today, Marra McDonald. Marra specializes in offer strategy and she's a sustainable growth consultant. Plus, she's a mom who knows how to balance a business. So moms, buckle up because this episode is about to be fire. So Marra, first thing, before we talk about business, if you and I were actually in person at this moment having brunch, what would be your go-to brunch order?
That's a good question. All right. I would probably say it depends what kind of mood I'm in for, right? So I could get myself a big sandwich with like the works, like some bacon, some tomatoes, some lettuce, some egg, throw everything you can on there, or some avocado toast. Depends if I'm feeling fancy that day. And then, of course, I got to get my coffee with 2 pumps of hazelnut and 1 pump of peppermint because it's Christmas season.
Oh, yes. Okay. You definitely know your stuff. I can definitely go for a big juicy sandwich right now. Usually I'm on the bougie side of I like the little finer things in life. So an eggs Benedict is usually my go-to, but honestly, that juicy sandwich, I'm just thinking of like it all dripping down my face. And I'm like,
Delicious. Now I want one. So now after this, I got to go to the local coffee shop and get myself a giant sandwich.
I'm sorry. The downside of such a fun episode to come. Anyone who is new to you, who are you in this season of life and business? How did sustainability become such a core value in the way that you build your offers?
Oh man, buckle up. This just unloaded a big answer for me. Okay, first of all, I'm Marra McDonald. I am an offer strategist and I'm also a sustainable business growth consultant, as you said. I help both solopreneurs and teams. So I mentor, executive team members or, small business team members, help them really set performance goals and then work towards achieving them so that way their business runs efficiently. But I also help solopreneurs continue to grow and continue to scale in a sustainable way. And to answer your question of why sustainability became such a big thing for me was actually because of my children. And I know that sounds so cliche, but I'm going to give you a little bit of background on me real quick. So I'm a former high school teacher. Okay. And as a teacher, I am go all the time. Like it was constant. And I love teaching. I did. When I had my daughter, she was born in the COVID days. I started to have a lot of mental health problems. I struggle with panic disorder, anxiety disorder, depression, OCD, and ADHD. You name it, I have it. So I started to really struggle with mental health. So I left the classroom. And I started out as a virtual assistant. I transitioned that into a blogging agency, which I still have today, although I'm starting to phase it out and I'm starting to really lean into this side of things. But I went through infertility for my second daughter, Talia. And during that time, it was really hard to balance business, especially one where I was go all the time as a VA and as an agency owner, and go through all these infertility treatments. As I was doing all of that, back. So it was really hard to go through all that, right? Fast forward, that's why I meant to go with this. My daughter was born. She's now 16-month old. She was born August 2024. And I kind of felt complete. In January of 2025, she actually got infant botulism. So she was in the hospital for about, I would say, a month. She was in PICU for a long time. It was very touch and go if she was going to make it because she was unconscious for a little bit. She was incubated. They had to stabilize her. And so I was in the hospital for a solid month and I'm still doing treatments with her now. She's okay. She's thriving. During that time, it made me realize that, what I was doing wasn't a forever thing. It was me chasing money and trying to get as much money as possible. And when push came to shove, it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't something that I could see myself doing forever. It wasn't something that, I was feeling passionate about, just the done for you service kind of things. I've always been in mentoring. I've always mentored women since 2022. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to really lean into my expertise as a high school teacher because I have a background in educational design and I have a master's in leadership. I'm going to really lean into that and create something that allows me to use what it is I'm passionate about, which is teaching, allow me to really use that expertise in leadership and educational design and really make something that is sustainable to my life, something that I can adjust with the times. If my daughter needs to go to, appointments, if my kids go to school and all, now I have more time, something that is truly built to last. So there's a long-winded explanation for your question. I told you, buckle up.
I love it. It's just a little side note. I think your blog on Substack with your daughter's infant botulism is
Mhm.
how I first connected with you. And I want to
Mm.
say like that. So I have found as a mom, I'm a very type A person, but as a mom, I'm very type B. And
Mhm.
so like he is almost 18 months. He
Yeah.
puts things in his mouth all the time and like dirt and stuff. And whenever I read your story, that was like, I've been a little bit risky with like, the good things going on, especially because, outside germs and stuff. Or
It was a
second,
freak thing. I mean, at 18 months, side note,
yeah,
he's probably good, right?
yeah.
But because after a year, but it was one of those freak things where like I am a type B mom as well. And I used to like let my family wear shoes in the house. And that's what
Mhm.
happened was my husband went to a construction site, wore shoes, came into the house and it got on their carpet. And then my daughter, being a baby, was laying, yeah, and it got into her body. And we no longer wear shoes in the house. I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, what just happened?
Yeah. So I two under two moms. So with the 3 month old,
Mhm.
like I'm like just crazy about because of that story of like his pacifier drops on the ground and now we gotta like disinfect it and wash it. Whereas before I was like,
Listen, me too. I get it. I get it.
but I just want to say, just side note, glad that she is doing good
She's
and
doing
that
great.
everything is well. Back to our
Hmm.
conversation because your girl likes tangents. So sustainability is a huge buzzword, and I know you kind of described it throughout your first response of how it looks like for you and kind of like that defining moment. But to our listeners and to your online people in like the simplest terms,
Hmm.
how would you describe it for like their achievements or like how they want to achieve it instead of just being like sustainable offer and then they're
Yeah.
like, what is that?
Absolutely. I think that's a really good question because I think there's a misconception in this space that sustainability means working less and making more, when in reality, sustainability means building something that's going to last, building something that can work with your life, that you can refine, and that is going to last the test of time. So 20 years from now, you're still in business. You're not just disappearing and you're able to adjust with the seasons of your life. Because right now, we're moms of littles, right? You're a mom of two under two. I'm a mom of a 5-year-old and a 16-month-old. So life right now is going to look different than 10 years from now. But
Mhm.
that doesn't mean that you're going to just throw your business to the wayside. You're building something that can adjust with your season of life. And that's sustainability.
I love that. I am all about the business supporting you through every lifestyle, life change, because if you're not growing as a human, then like, are you even living? So, what have you found is the biggest misconception aside from make more, work less around sustainable offers? Like, is it a certain type of offer you're seeing for your people, or is it just kind of out of the blue, kind of whatever they hodgepodge together?
The biggest misconception when it comes to offers that I see all the time is that like you have to do it a certain way. And what I mean by that is people talk about scalable product suites, and I'm guilty of that as well. I talk about it's important to have a scalable product suite, but I think when people hear that, they think of it as, the done for you offer, some kind of consulting offer, some kind of group program, some kind of membership, and they feel like they have to have those things. When in reality, it doesn't have to look like anything. Sustainability is what works for you, right? And so if you want to build one offer, one signature offer that gives you that flexibility, and that's your only offer, you can do that, right? And you can do different things. You can tier it out. And so I would say the biggest misconception is that like it has to be a certain way. Where I have people come to me all the time. I serve a wide variety of people. Okay. I serve teams, I serve done for you service providers, I serve private practices. People come to me all the time and they say, I don't want to be a coach. I don't want to get into the coaching space. It's just not aligned with me. Like, is there any other way I can grow? And I say all the time, like, yes, coaching is not the end all be all. And not only that, I don't feel like everybody should get into coaching because not everybody is meant to be a coach, but it seems to be that people think that's the only way they can scale. And reality is that, you could be a blogger. I have a blogging agency and you can structure your offer in a way that still allows you to put life first. It all comes down to what the deliverables you put in there are and the transformation that they bring. So, to circle back around, because I like to do long-winded answers. The biggest misconception is that, it has to look a certain way. You have to get into coaching or you have to get into consulting or you're not going to be able to scale as a virtual assistant. Like all those are misconceptions. What it is you're passionate about and what it is you love to do is you're able to make that into something that's built to last, but it's just refining of what you already do.
I love that. I feel like I get that question all the time of like, how do I scale without becoming a coach or without growing a team? And
Mhm.
it's like, you have such endless opportunities. Like, let's figure out where you thrive and how to do that. So
Mhm.
definitely, I am down with the stop following the same path because one, you started your business. You already are doing a totally different path than what you were supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So why are you now following like the same mold? Like, let's break out of the mold.
Exactly.
Okay, so when a mom comes to you and she's overwhelmed with her business and she feels like she can't keep up, where do you kind of start digging in to help?
Well, that's a good question. Okay. So every single person I work with, we do the same thing where they fill out a vision and reflection form that kind of allows me to do an audit of their offers, their marketing, everywhere in their business, right? And the reason why I do this is because oftentimes I find that we don't really know what it is we're working towards. We don't really know what our vision is. We just know we want to have a business and we want to make money. But when you sit down and you ask, like, okay, what does this business look like for you? What's the income it's bringing in? It's like, I don't know, enough to pay my bills, right? And if you don't have that clarity in what your vision is and what you want your offers and your marketing to look like, you're really never going to feel like not just satisfied, but you're always going to feel like you're behind in business because you don't see the progress you're making. While if you have clear visions and clear, goals of like 12 weeks, 6 months from now, you can see the milestones you're reaching. So that's the very first thing I do. The second thing I do is I have them fill out a calendar where they map out their whole entire day with me. Now, I'm aware, moms, it's like, kids get sick. I'm balancing kids all the time. And so, it's a flexible schedule, but we take a look at what their current schedule looks like and what their ideal schedule looks like for this season of life. And we find the gaps. We find the gaps between their vision with their offers, their marketing, and we find the gaps within their schedule. And we come up with a plan to close that in a way that works within their season of life. So for example, for me, I stay home with my children full time. The only reason why I'm able to do this podcast episode today is because it's Thanksgiving week and my husband took the kids out to Dunkin' Donuts to go get them a treat. They don't go to daycare. They're with me all day, every day. So for me, I really have to work in 20-minute bursts where I put, sometimes I put the TV in front of them. Sometimes I get a sensory bin and I do 20-minute tasks at a time. And then in the evenings when they're asleep, I work. Right? That is not the typical business structure you see a lot of people, but that's what works for me. And so that's what I take a look at with moms. And I say, okay, like where is it not sustainable? Where are you overwhelmed? Where is it not working? And what do we need to do? What do we need to refine? So that way it matches the schedule that would work for you. And I'm going to give you a quick example, if you don't mind, because I'm a former teacher. Examples of my way of life. I oftentimes, virtual assistants come to me all the time and they struggle with this, where they work hourly. And so when you're working hourly, typically you have to work between a certain hours, like 9 to 5, right? But they're staying home with their kids full time. And they're like, I can't jump on these calls. My kids need me. I'm falling behind on work. Clients aren't happy. And that's one of those examples where we look at it and we say, okay, well, like your vision is that you want to make this amount per month. You want your offers to feel like this. Your schedule, you want to be able to work in the evenings. I don't want to be the person to tell you, but like virtual assisting, the hourly work isn't going to necessarily be sustainable for you. So I'm not saying we need to leave virtual assisting, but we need to restructure our offers in a way so that way you can work in the evenings and you can communicate that with your clients, right? It's all about finding what's overwhelming to the mom and then finding that gap and closing that gap. And again, it's in that season of life. So, as time shifts, you're going to have to continue doing it. It's not a one-time thing, but it's worth it because it allows you to really build something that's going to last.
And they can kind of see the vision. I like how you start with, I feel like a lot of us get so caught up in like the now where we don't take time to do that 12-week plan, that 6-month plan, that year plan. And so by making them slow down and say, hey, this is where you want to be. This is how you structure. Now you're giving them an attainable vision and goal to actually work towards where when they get started, they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's just kind of like day in and day out.
Yeah, exactly. I want to make, the typical goals. I want to make 10K months. I want to only be working 4 hours a day. And that's great. I'm not saying they're not good goals, but breaking that down even more of like, okay, you're not just going to be able to wake up tomorrow and make 10K months, right? So how can we start to, if you want to make 10K months, what kind of offers are we looking at so that way you can hit 10K months, and how can we start to break that down so it's achievable, right? And the same thing, I work with people who want to make 7 figures, and it's like they're like, I want to make $1 million, and I'm like, great, but like you're not going to do it with your current offers. We have to restructure and refine. So no matter where you are in business, this problem comes up. It always does.
Now, what is kind of like the biggest resistance you have seen whenever it comes to saying, hey, it is time to refine and restructure? But someone like me, who it takes kind of like that nail on the head, hammering down, because type A, I don't like change. I still want change. So what is kind of like the biggest resistance that you've seen whenever it comes to working with people where they're like, okay, I see what you're saying, but then they have that little hesitation? Or do you just get your perfectly aligned clients that are like, I trust you?
No, I think every single client has that resistance to change. And that's the biggest roadblock, is that resistance to change. And I think when we really peel the layers back, what that fear actually is fear of, what I've built is working for me now. If I change it, what's going to happen? And so the way that we work through that, and it's funny because I'm working with a client specifically, my one-to-one, through this exact thing right now. So, I'm going to give examples where she's a virtual assistant and she's looking to she's a virtual assistant / OBM. She calls herself a virtual assistant, but she is more so like a COO. She's like, I'm like, girl, what in the world? But, she's restructuring to she wants to get into consulting. So she wants her done for you services consulting. And then she also wants to start a little course kind of thing. And the question always comes up of, if I'm changing things and people are seeing me changing things, are they going to not want to work with me? And I'm at this point in business where I'm booked out, I'm busy, and is it going to hurt me? Like, what if I'm making a mistake? And what I always remind people is that, number one, you've already built what you have now. So worst case scenario, you know what to do to be where you are now. Okay. Like, you can always go back to where you are. You've built it where you are. You can always go back to what was working. Okay. But number two, I think people have this misconception that your offers are your business. And this is the analogy I use all the time, and it helps my clients tremendously. So hopefully the person listening to this today needs to hear this. Where if you picture your business, oftentimes people think, like, picture a tree. They think your offers is your business. So the tree is your offers, okay? Reality is your business is your brand. You're that tree. And your offers are the branches. Okay. So when you're adding something new, when you're restructuring, you're not changing the whole tree. You're not changing the roots. You're not changing the trunk. You're adding branches on. So going back to that client, right, where she was a VA who really is a COO and undercharging herself. And she wants to continue to do her done for you services, but she wants to add on. Okay, well, that branch, your virtual assisting services, that is part of your brand, right? It's part of your business. But your consulting is another branch, and your course is another branch. And you know what? If you want to get into email marketing, that's another branch. You can do multiple things. And I like to use myself as an example where I'm Marra McDonald. Okay, that's my brand. And people who connect with me on Instagram, they know my brand, but I do multiple different things. I do course creation, right? I'll make courses for people done for you. I do mentoring for solopreneurs. I do team mentoring. I have a blogging agency. There's multiple different branches. And so it's just a reminder to people that your offers are not your business, right? Your offers are part of your business. Yes, it's your services that you have, but your business is your brand, and you're just extending your brand more.
I think my listeners have definitely heard me say that your business is your brand at least so many times throughout episodes. So if you're back today and you've been listening for a while, I hope you definitely take it from another expert that your business is your brand. Don't sleep on building your brand.
Don't sleep on it. You're the face of your business. Anything you do, it's just a branch of that. That's another, going back to that question, I think that's another area people struggle with is, if I refine and I don't like it, then what? And it's like, okay, you don't like it? Give yourself permission to change it. I can't tell you, like, as an offer strategist myself, I make a living off of offers. Just in the summer, I launched the membership and it was successful, but I didn't like it. I was like, I don't like this. And so what did I do? I was transparent with my audience. I said, I launched this. I tried something new. It's not aligning with my life. Here's your options. And I had about 50% of them move up to work with me in a higher ticket offer because they said, I honestly appreciate your vulnerability because it showed me I don't have to be perfect. So nothing's permanent, guys. Like, you run your business.
Like, that's the best part of being your own boss is like, you can try new things, you can make mistakes, you can pivot all the time. I think I've pivoted 5 times and I've been in business 5 years. Part of my problem is I'm multi-passionate. So I'm still trying to figure out how to tie it all in. But that core of like my business is my brand. That's how I've been able to tie it in. And so listeners, don't feel bad for changing, pivoting, changing your mind. You're only human. That is the core foundation of you're human.
You're human.
Okay. For a real life mom perspective, I know that you've given us a lot of examples. Do you have another favorite example for a real life situation as someone who is kind of in the teeter-tottering point of they've been in business for, let's say, 6 to 12 months? And they have kind of tried all the things throughout and they don't want to build a team. They don't want to go into coaching. What is one type of advice that you would give them other than like figure out your 12-week plan? Just one little core piece of advice of you want to be a solopreneur. This is how you can still scale without hustling 24/7, but you don't have to build a team. You don't have to go into coaching.
Absolutely. I would say, honestly, specifically around offers, create a tier system where your top offer has accessibility to, let's say, calls. Right? Because again, as a mom, you're going to have very limited time. And I think a problem that we often have is we feel like we need to give everything to our clients. And so if you're looking at offers and you're trying to really make this, something that is sustainable for you and being strategic with it, create tiers. The first tier, the highest tier has accessibility of calls with you, maybe once a month calls. Second tier, it's just like, done for you work and they can have access to Voxer with you. Third tier, it's just strategy once a month. So I think that could be like a way to really kind of incorporate, that sustainable aspect.
I love that. I love the tier aspect. I feel like a lot of people don't talk about tiers and offers, which I think needs to be talked about a lot more because it's such a great way to scale. I know whenever I first started, I had tried something for a tier, but I didn't know how that looked. Definitely, if you're looking for a tier, reach out to Marra
I love
or any other offer support. But I think that's a big conversation of just, again, to do things differently. Like, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to try something new. And don't be afraid to ask for support.
Absolutely. Ask for support 100%.
So if a listener has only 10 minutes today, let's say they're listening to this on 2x speed, we really want them to get the core message of one tangible thing that she can do right now to make her offer suite more sustainable.
Oh, that's a good question. Okay. Kind of depends if you're sitting at your laptop or if you're in the car. I'm going to give one for both. If you're sitting at a laptop, in 10 minutes, what I think you should do is write down your product suite and ask yourself, what is draining me, right? What in the deliverables is draining me that I need to remove from my current offers? And then that will give you a starting point of how you can restructure. Right? If you're sitting in your car, I want you to ask yourself, what part of my offers can I do on the go? And what part of my offers do I have to be sitting at my laptop for? And then ask yourself, as a mom that's busy, as I'm listening to this in my car, 2x speed, is that sustainable for you? And if the answer's no, I need to be doing something on the go, ask yourself, what's 2 things that you can change in your offers right now to make it more accessible to you while you're driving? There we go.
I told you guys this is going to be fire, and you just now got a 10-minute little piece that you can change your life, change your business,
there you go.
Implement today. Now that we've got to know who you are, got to know your skills and expertise, and I know my people are going to love you, how can they connect with you, and what is a way that they can work with you like today or just in the next
anytime? Yeah. Well, the best way to connect with me is through Instagram. That's Marra.McDonald, MARRA.McDonald, like the fast food restaurant. Worst last name in the world. It's my husband's last name, and no, we don't own McDonald's. Try being a teacher with the last name McDonald. I got sung to old McDonald had a farm. It was the worst. But that's the best way to connect with me. I also have a podcast, Built to Last, which gives you behind the scenes of my clients' businesses and my business. So kind of behind the scenes of real life sustainable business growth and what we're working through that week. And pretty soon, come the new year, I'm going to be doing Marra's Classroom, which is going to be educational things on like offer creation, for example, and sustainability. Working with me wise, I have a variety of different offers. Imagine that as an offer strategist, right? I have an offer for team mentorship. I have an offer for solopreneur mentorship. I have a mastermind, and I have like a momentum kind of retainer, which is just like a audit every single month to help you stay more sustainable. My number one suggestion to listeners would be I do free mastermind sit-ins. There's no strings attached. I'm not going to be messaging you. I mean, I might reach out once, but I'm not going to be messaging you 10 times afterwards like, hey, you going to join mastermind? No strings attached. Come sit in and come see me as a coach. Right? Come see me as a consultant. Come see the community so you can learn a little bit. And if it's something that's aligned with you and you're like, you know what, I really want to work with this person, then we can chat and we can find what the next best step for you is. But that would be my number one suggestion is come sit into a mastermind call, and I'll send you the link too so they can just sign up. It's no strings attached. It's free. I just, vulnerability, transparency is everything in this space.
Well, I love that you also have a way for people to kind of get that dip their toes in. You still get to create impact. I'm all about serving your people in the best intentional way. And I think that's a great way for people to connect, tease your offers, and then hopefully jump in because, they're about to upgrade their life and business by getting some offer support. So since we are recording this on Thanksgiving week, if I were to invite you over for a biz giving, what would be your go-to side?
Oh,
Bizgiving? Yeah, bizgiving there.
Oh, man.
Your go-to side that you would bring in your favorite side.
Is it bad that this is the hardest question of the whole entire podcast? Like, my go-to side would be mashed potatoes, 100%. What I would bring? I would have to pick between either bread pudding or green bean casserole.
Ooh.
Depends if I'm extra carby that day.
I don't think I've ever had bread pudding for Thanksgiving or a side dish. Quick question on your mashed potatoes. Are you putting cheese in your mashed potatoes or are they like plain? I'm a huge mashed potato.
It has cheese.
Loaded up.
Plain. Yeah, you don't have a choice. You're eating the cheese.
Thank you so much for joining me today on Business and Brunch. I think that our audience has so much value in just ways that they can start upgrading their business. Everyone that is listening, all of the links and everything will be in the show notes. So make sure you check those out. Make sure you go connect with Marra on Instagram at marra.mcdonald. Did I get that?
You did.
Okay, perfect. And just go snoop out her mastermind call. If you are in the need for offer support, I have also seen her name pop up on threads. Highly respectable, highly recommended coach, done for you provider. Definitely check her out. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time and giving us all your insights.
This was great. Thank you so much.